Have you ever listened to native English speakers and felt that their words disappeared before your brain could catch them? You may know the vocabulary, you may understand English when you read it, you may even speak well, but when people talk quickly, everything seems to become one long, confusing sound. Here is the truth. Native speakers are not always using difficult words. Your ears simply have not been trained to recognize how real English sounds. In this complete listening lesson, you will learn how fast English is actually spoken, why words change inside sentences, and how to train your brain to understand natural conversations without translating every word. Stay focused, practice patiently, and by the end, fast English will no longer feel like noise. Chapter 1. Why fast English sounds impossible. Many English learners believe that native speakers talk too quickly. They imagine that understanding fast English requires an advanced brain, a perfect memory, or years of living in an English-speaking country. But the real problem is usually not speed. The real problem is the unfamiliar sound. When you first learn English, you normally learn words one by one. A teacher says a word clearly, slowly, and separately. You hear what, then are, then you, then doing. Each word has a clean beginning and a clean ending. However, real English does not usually sound like this. A native speaker rarely says, "What are you doing?" with a clear space between every word. The sentence may sound more like, "What are you doing?" The individual words have not disappeared, but their sounds have changed. Some sounds become weaker. Some sounds connect. Some sounds are completely dropped. Your brain may know the sentence when it is written, but your ears do not recognize the spoken form. This is why fast English often feels harder than difficult English. You might understand a long sentence when it is spoken slowly, yet fail to understand a short sentence spoken naturally. For example, you may easily understand, "I am going to call you later," when every word is pronounced carefully. But in a real conversation, you might hear something like, "I'm gonna call ya later." The vocabulary is simple, the grammar is simple, the meaning is simple, the sound is different. This difference between written English and spoken English creates confusion. When learners listen, they often wait to hear the exact pronunciation they learned in a textbook. They expect going to, but hear gonna. They expect want to, but hear wanna. They expect did you, but hear something closer to did ya. Their brains search for the textbook version and miss the natural version. The first important lesson is this. Spoken English is not written English read aloud. Spoken English has its own rhythm, shortcuts, reductions, connections, and changes. These changes are not mistakes, they are a normal part of natural speech. Think about your own language. When you speak with family or close friends, you probably do not pronounce every word slowly and perfectly. You connect words. You shorten common expressions. You reduce sounds. You may speak faster when you are excited and slower when you are serious. Native English speakers do the same thing. Therefore, your goal is not to force English speakers to slow down forever. Your goal is to teach your ears how natural English works. Another reason fast English feels difficult is that learners try to process too much at once. Imagine that someone says, "I would have called you if I had known you were waiting." A learner may hear the first word and immediately translate it. Then the learner hears the second word and tries to remember the first one. By the time the speaker reaches the middle of the sentence, the learner is still mentally working on the beginning. The speaker continues, but the learner falls behind. This creates a painful feeling. You hear sound, but you cannot hold it. You recognize one word, lose 3 words, catch another word, and then forget the beginning of the sentence. It feels as if English is moving faster than your brain. The solution is not simply to listen harder. The solution is to listen differently. Strong listeners do not normally translate every word. They recognize groups of sound and connect them directly to meaning. When they hear "how's it going?" they do not separately process how, is, it, and going. They hear the entire expression as one familiar unit. This is similar to recognizing a face. You do not study one eyebrow, then one eye, then the nose, then the mouth. You recognize the whole face quickly because you have seen it many times. Listening works in the same way. The more often you hear common phrases, the faster your brain recognizes them as complete patterns. Expressions such as, "Do you know what I mean? What are you talking about?" and "I'll let you know" begin to feel like one piece of language instead of several separate words. Your ears become faster because your brain stops rebuilding the sentence word by word. A third reason fast English sounds impossible is anxiety. When learners become nervous, they listen with fear. They think, "I must understand everything. I cannot miss anything. What if I do not know this word? What if the speaker asks me a question?" This mental pressure makes listening worse. When you are anxious, your attention becomes narrow. You may focus too strongly on one unknown word and miss the rest of the sentence. Instead of following the speaker's main idea, you become trapped by a small detail. Suppose someone says, "The meeting was postponed because the manager had an unexpected appointment." You understand meeting, because, and manager, but you do not understand postponed. You stop mentally and think, "What does postponed mean?" While you are thinking, the speaker gives more information, but you miss it. A relaxed listener may not know postponed either. However, the relaxed listener continues listening and uses the rest of the message to guess that the meeting will happen later. Good listening does not require perfect understanding. It requires continuous attention. You must learn to keep moving with the speaker. When you miss a word, do not mentally leave the conversation. Let the unknown word pass and listen for the next useful clue. The meaning may become clear after 2 or 3 more seconds. Another common problem is limited exposure. Some learners study English for years but mostly read textbooks, complete grammar exercises, or memorize vocabulary lists. These activities can improve English knowledge, but they do not automatically train the ear. Knowing a word on paper is different from recognizing it in fast speech. You might know the word comfortable. You may pronounce it slowly as comfortable, but many speakers pronounce it more like comfortable. If you have only seen the written form, the spoken form may surprise you. The same is true for phrases. You may know every word in "Could you give me a minute?" but fail to recognize it when spoken as "Could you give me a minute?" This is not a failure of intelligence. It is a lack of sound training. Your brain needs repeated contact with real English. At first, natural English may feel like a wall of sound. Then you begin noticing individual words. Later, you notice phrases. Eventually, you hear intention, emotion, and meaning without analyzing every sound. This progress happens gradually. Think of listening as physical training. You would not enter a gym for the first time and expect to lift the heaviest weight. You begin with manageable exercises. Your muscles grow through repeated effort. Your listening ability grows in the same way. If you only listen to material that is far above your level, you may become frustrated. If you only listen to very slow English, your ears may never adapt to real speed. You need the right balance. Choose material that is challenging but not completely impossible. You should understand the general topic, recognize some phrases, and have enough context to make guesses. Then listen more than once. The first time, listen only for the main idea. Ask yourself, who is speaking? What is the situation? What is the general topic? The second time, listen for important words and phrases. The third time, notice pronunciation, reductions, and connected sounds. The fourth time, repeat parts of the speech. This process transforms confusing audio into understandable language. One listening session may not create a dramatic change, but repeated practice teaches your brain what to expect. The brain is a pattern recognition machine. When it hears similar sound combinations again and again, it begins to predict them. Once prediction becomes stronger, understanding becomes faster. For example, if someone begins with, "Would you mind?" your brain may predict a request. If someone says, "The reason I'm calling is," your brain expects an explanation. If someone says, "To be honest," Your brain prepares for a personal opinion. These predictions reduce the amount of work your brain must do. You do not need to wait until the end of every sentence to understand it. You begin building meaning while the speaker is still talking. Fast English becomes easier when the language is familiar, the sound patterns are familiar, and the situation is familiar. Therefore, do not tell yourself, I am bad at listening. Say, my ears are still learning the sound system of natural English. This change in thinking matters. When you believe you are bad at listening, every difficult conversation feels like proof of failure. When you understand that listening is a trainable skill, difficulty becomes part of the process. You are not failing when fast speech feels difficult. You are meeting the exact challenge that will make you stronger. From this moment, stop measuring your listening ability by how many words you miss. Measure it by how well you stay connected to the message. Can you understand the topic? Can you recognize the speaker's feeling? Can you identify the important action? Can you follow the general direction of the conversation? These are signs of real listening. Perfect word-for-word understanding is not always necessary, even for native speakers. Native speakers sometimes miss words because of noise, unfamiliar accents, poor sound quality, or lack of attention. They use context to continue. You must give yourself permission to do the same. Fast English is not one impossible skill. It is a collection of smaller skills, recognizing reduced words, hearing connections, understanding rhythm, predicting meaning, tolerating uncertainty, and staying calm. In the next chapters, you will train each of these abilities. Do not rush. Let your ears improve one layer at a time. The first victory is simply understanding why fast English sounds difficult. Once you know the real reason, you can stop blaming yourself and start training correctly. Chapter 2. Stop trying to hear every single word. One of the biggest mistakes English learners make is trying to hear every word with equal attention. This seems logical. If a sentence contains 10 words, you may believe that you must hear all 10 words clearly to understand the sentence. But natural listening does not work this way. In English, some words carry strong meaning. Other words mainly support grammar. The strong words are often nouns, main verbs, adjectives, adverbs, numbers, names, and important negatives. These words tell you what the sentence is really about. The weaker words are often articles, auxiliary verbs, pronouns, prepositions, and conjunctions. These words are important, but they are frequently pronounced quickly and softly. Consider this sentence. I was going to send you the report after the meeting. The strongest words may be send, report, after, and meeting. These words create the central meaning. The smaller grammatical words may become reduced. I was going to may sound like I was gonna. You, the may connect. The sentence may move quickly, but the main information remains clear. A trained listener focuses naturally on the words that carry the message. An untrained listener gives every word equal importance and becomes overwhelmed. You need to learn selective listening. Selective listening means identifying the most useful information while allowing less important sounds to remain in the background. This does not mean ignoring grammar. It means understanding how spoken language delivers meaning. Imagine that someone says, I'm probably going to take the earlier train because the traffic gets terrible after 6. Even if you miss several words, you may hear probably, earlier train, traffic, terrible, and after 6. From these clues, you can understand the basic idea. The speaker wants to travel earlier to avoid traffic. That is successful listening. You did not understand every sound, but you understood the decision and the reason. Many learners would say, I only understood 60%, but 60% of the right information may give you 90% of the meaning. Listening is not a spelling test, it is meaning recognition. To train this skill, begin by listening for content words. Suppose you hear a sentence like this. The company is planning to open a new office in Singapore next year. The content words are company, planning, open, new office, Singapore, and next year. If you understand these words, you understand the message. Now imagine the sentence is spoken quickly. The company's planning to open a new office in Singapore next year. The words is and to may sound weak. Company is becomes companies, but the important information remains strong. English rhythm naturally makes content words more noticeable. When speakers want to communicate a message, they stress the important words. They usually say them more clearly, more loudly, or with a change in pitch. Smaller words become shorter and weaker. This is why you should stop demanding perfect clarity from every word. Native speakers are not trying to give every word perfect clarity. They are giving you a rhythm that shows what matters. You can practice this by reading sentences aloud and stressing the important words. Say, I need the report by Friday. Notice that I, the, and by are less important than need, report, and Friday. Now say, she left her phone in the car. The main information is left, phone, and car. When you begin hearing stress, fast English becomes more organized. It no longer sounds like one continuous stream. It starts to sound like a series of important beats. These beats guide you through the sentence. Another important skill is listening for the speaker's intention. Words are only one part of communication. Tone, stress, pauses, and emotion also carry meaning. Imagine someone says, "That was interesting." Depending on the tone, this could mean genuine interest, uncertainty, politeness, disappointment, or even criticism. A listener who focuses only on dictionary meanings may miss the real message. A listener who notices tone understands more. Fast speakers often communicate intention through patterns. A rising tone may signal a question or uncertainty. A falling tone may signal completion or confidence. A stressed negative word may signal correction. I said Tuesday, not Thursday. A long pause may signal hesitation. A quick answer may signal excitement or impatience. You do not need to consciously analyze every detail. With practice, your brain begins interpreting these signals automatically. You should also stop treating every unknown word as an emergency. When learners hear an unfamiliar word, they often stop following the conversation. They become mentally stuck. Imagine listening to this sentence. The restaurant was overcrowded, so we decided to eat somewhere else. Perhaps you do not know overcrowded, but you hear restaurant, so decided, eat somewhere else. These clues tell you that there was a problem at the restaurant and the group chose another place. The exact definition can be learned later. During listening, your first job is to protect the flow of meaning. Afterward, you can return to unknown words. This separation is powerful. Listening time is for following the message. Study time is for analyzing vocabulary. When you mix these two activities, you may lose both. During a real conversation, keep moving. During focused study, pause, repeat, check, and learn. Another useful technique is listening for signal words. Signal words show how ideas are connected. Words such as but, however, although, and actually often introduce contrast. Words such as because, since, and so often introduce a reason or result. Words such as first, then, after that, and finally show order. Words such as for example and such as introduce details. Words such as in other words or what I mean is introduce clarification. When you hear these signals, your brain can organize information quickly. Suppose someone says, I wanted to apply for the job, but the deadline had already passed. The word but tells you that the second part will change or limit the first part. Even before you understand every detail, you know the speaker faced a problem. Now consider, the weather was getting worse, so we decided to leave early. The word so prepares you for a result. Signal words are like road signs. They tell your brain where the sentence is going. Fast English becomes much easier when you recognize direction. You should also listen for repeated words and ideas. Speakers often repeat important information in different ways. They may say something, explain it, give an example, and then summarize it. If you miss the first version, you may understand the second. For example, the project has been delayed. In other words, we won't be able to finish it this month. Even if you miss delayed, the second sentence explains the meaning. Do not assume that missing one phrase means the whole message is lost. Continue listening. Speakers often provide more clues. Context is your greatest listening tool. If you know the situation, you can predict the type of language you will hear. At a restaurant, you expect words related to food, ordering, payment, tables, and service. At an airport, you expect words related to flights, gates, passports, luggage, delays, and boarding. During a job interview, you expect questions about experience, skills, education, responsibilities, and goals. Context reduces possibilities. If someone at a cafe asks, "Would you like anything else?" you do not need to analyze every sound. The situation helps you understand. This is how native speakers listen too. They do not depend only on sound. They combine sound with context, experience, body language, expectation, and common sense. You can create context before listening. Before playing an English video, read the title. Think about the topic. Ask yourself what words and ideas may appear. If the topic is healthy habits, you may expect exercise, sleep, diet, stress, water, and routine. When these words appear, your brain recognizes them more quickly because it was prepared. This is called activating prior knowledge. It is one of the fastest ways to improve understanding. You can also ask 3 questions before listening. What is the likely situation? Who is probably speaking? What do I expect them to discuss? These questions turn passive listening into active prediction. During listening, focus on 3 different levels. First, identify the topic. Second, identify the main point. Third, identify the important details. Do not begin with tiny details. If you do not understand the topic, details will feel random. For example, imagine listening to a news report. First, decide whether it is about business, weather, sport, politics, science, or entertainment. Then identify what happened. After that, notice names, numbers, places, and reasons. This creates a mental structure. Strong listeners build structure while they listen. Weak listeners collect disconnected words. Your goal is not to collect more words. Your goal is to connect the words you hear into a meaningful picture. A helpful exercise is the keyword summary. Listen to 30 seconds of English and write only 5 important words. Do not write full sentences. Do not pause the audio. Then use those 5 words to explain the main idea in your own English. For example, you hear a short story and write, bus, late, interview, taxi, arrived. From these words, you explain, the speaker's bus was late, so they took a taxi because they had an interview. They arrived in time. This exercise trains your brain to identify meaning under pressure. Another exercise is the 1-sentence summary. Listen to 1 minute of English, then say 1 sentence that explains the main idea. Your sentence does not need to be perfect. It only needs to show that you understood the message. This prevents you from becoming obsessed with small details. You can also practice listening for numbers, names, times, and actions. These details are often important in everyday situations. For example, listen for, what time is the appointment? Where will they meet? Who is responsible? What must happen next? How much does something cost? When is the deadline? By giving yourself a listening mission, you improve focus. Do not simply press play and hope to understand. Decide what you are listening for. There is another important truth. Sometimes you will understand the message without being able to repeat the exact words. This is normal. You may hear someone speak and immediately understand their intention, yet you cannot remember the sentence word for word. That is not weak listening. That is natural communication. Meaning often enters the brain faster than conscious language analysis. Do not test yourself only by asking, can I repeat every word? Ask, did I understand what the speaker wanted me to know? This is a better measure of real-world listening. As you practice, your understanding will become more detailed. At first, you may only understand the topic. Later, you understand the main point. Then you begin hearing reasons, examples, and emotion. Progress develops in layers. Do not reject partial understanding. Partial understanding is the bridge to full understanding. The learner who accepts 60% and continues listening will eventually understand more. The learner who becomes angry about missing 40% may stop practicing. Confidence grows when you recognize what you understood. After each listening session, do not only focus on mistakes. Ask yourself, what did I understand correctly? Which phrases did I recognize? Which part felt easier than before? What new sound pattern did I notice? This positive attention tells your brain that progress is happening. From now on, release the impossible goal of hearing every word perfectly. Listen for meaning. Listen for stress. Listen for signal words. Listen for intention. Listen for the important beats inside the sentence. Fast English becomes manageable when you stop chasing every sound and begin following the message. Chapter 3. Learn the reduced forms of real English. If you want to understand fast English, you must become familiar with reduced forms. A reduced form happens when a word or group of words is pronounced more quickly, weakly, or differently in natural speech. This is not lazy English. It is normal spoken English. Native speakers use reductions because English rhythm depends on stressed and unstressed sounds. Important words receive more energy. Smaller grammatical words often become shorter. One of the most common examples is going to. When going to describes a future plan, it often sounds like gonna. I am going to call him becomes I'm going to call him. She is going to be late becomes she's going to be late. They are going to start soon becomes they're going to start soon. When learners only know the written form, gonna can sound like a completely different word. Once you learn it as a sound pattern, it becomes easy to recognize. Another common reduction is want to, which often sounds like wanna. I want to leave may sound like I want to leave. Do you want to come may sound like do you want to come? However, remember that wanna is generally used before a verb. In I want a coffee, the words wanta may connect, but the meaning is different. The goal here is not to memorize complicated rules. The goal is to train your ears to expect natural sound. Have to often sounds like have to. I have to work may sound like I have to work. We have to go may sound like we have to go. Has to may sound like has to. She has to leave may sound like she has to leave. Got to often becomes gotta. I've got to go may sound like I gotta go. You've got to see this may sound like you gotta see this. These forms appear constantly in movies, conversations, interviews, and everyday speech. If you do not recognize them, you may believe the speaker is using vocabulary you have never learned. In reality, you already know the words. The sound has simply changed. Kind of often sounds like kinda. I'm kind of tired becomes I'm kinda tired. It's kind of strange becomes it's kinda strange. Sort of may sound like sorta. I sort of understand becomes I sorta understand. Out of may sound like outer. We're out of time becomes we're out of time. A lot of often sounds like a lotta. There are a lot of people may sound like there are a lot of people. Give me often sounds like gimme. Give me a second becomes gimme a second. Let me often sounds like lemme. Let me check becomes lemme check. These reductions are especially common in informal speech. You do not have to force yourself to use all of them immediately. Understanding comes before production. First, train yourself to recognize them. Later, some may naturally enter your speech. Pronouns also become reduced. You may sound like ya in quick speech. I'll call you may sound like I'll call ya. Did you may sound like did ya. Did you see it may sound like did ya see it. Would you may sound like would ya. Would you help me may sound like would ya help me. Could you may sound like could ya. Could you open the door may sound like could ya open the door. The sound change often happens because the final consonant of one word combines with the beginning sound of the next word. This process is called assimilation. You do not need to remember the technical name, but you should recognize the result. Don't you may sound like doncha. Don't you know may sound like doncha no. Won't you may sound like woncha. Won't you sit down may sound like woncha sit down. In fast speech, what are you may sound like wadaya. What are you doing may sound like what are you doing. What do you may also become very compressed. What do you think may sound like what do you think. At first these forms can seem confusing, but after repeated listening, your brain stops hearing them as strange sounds. It connects them directly to the full expression. Auxiliary verbs are often reduced to. I am becomes I'm. You are becomes you're. He is becomes he's. We have becomes we've. They would becomes they'd. These contractions are familiar in writing, but in speech they may become even weaker. I've been waiting may begin with a very soft I've. She'd already left may contain a tiny D sound that is difficult to hear. The word is present grammatically, but it may not be strongly pronounced. This is why understanding grammar helps listening. If you know what grammar is likely, your brain can reconstruct weak sounds. For example, if you hear, she's been working all day, perhaps the speaker actually said, she's been working all day, but the S was extremely weak. Your knowledge of present perfect continuous grammar helps you understand the hidden sound. The word and is one of the most reduced words in English. It may sound like N or N. Bread and butter may sound like bread in butter. Come and see may sound like come and see. Black and white may sound like black and white. The word of is also frequently reduced to a soft sound. A cup of tea may sound like a cup of tea. A piece of cake may sound like a piece of cake. Some of them may sound like some of them. The word to often becomes ter. I need to go may sound like I need to go. We want to start may sound like we want to start. The word for may sound like fur. This is for you may sound like this is for you. The word can often becomes weak when it is not stressed. I can do it may sound like I can do it. But in a negative sentence, can't is often stronger because the negative meaning matters. I can't do it. This difference can help you hear whether the speaker is saying can or can't. However, accents and speaking styles vary, so context remains important. The word was may become very weak. I was thinking may sound like I was thinking. The word were may sound like were or were. We were talking may sound like we were talking. Articles such as an, and the are also usually weak. A meeting uses a short a. An appointment uses a quick an. The report may use a soft the. These weak forms help English maintain its rhythm. You should not expect every small word to sound like its dictionary pronunciation. Dictionary pronunciation teaches the full form of a word. Real speech frequently uses the weak form. A useful way to train reduced forms is with contrast practice. First say the careful form, I am going to call you. Then say the natural form, I'm going to call you. Careful form, did you want to come with us? Natural form, did you want to come with us? Careful form, could you give me a minute? Natural form, could you give me a minute? Careful form, I have to finish this. Natural form, I have to finish this. By comparing the two versions, you teach your brain that they carry the same meaning. You can also build a reduction notebook. Create 2 columns. In the first column, write the full expression. In the second column, write how it often sounds. Going to, gono, want to, wanna, have to, got to, let me, limmy, give me, gimme, did you, didya, would you, woulda, could you, coulda, kind of, kinda, out of, outer. Do not try to learn 50 forms in one day. Choose 5 common reductions and listen for them during the week. When you hear one, pause and repeat the sentence. Your goal is not only to know the reduction intellectually, your goal is to recognize it instantly inside fast speech. Recognition requires repetition. You may understand today that did you can sound like didya, yet still miss it tomorrow in a movie. That is normal. Knowledge enters the mind quickly. Automatic recognition enters the ear slowly. You must meet the sound many times. Another useful exercise is slow to fast repetition. Take the sentence, What are you going to do? Say it slowly. What are you going to do? Then slightly faster. What are you going to do? Then more naturally. What are you going to do? Do not force an unnatural accent. Simply notice how the sounds move closer together. Try. Did you want to go? Careful. Did you want to go? Natural. Did you want to go? Try. Could you give me a hand? Careful. Could you give me a hand? Natural. Could you give me a hand? When your mouth learns the movement, your ears often become better at recognizing it. Speaking and listening support each other. You should also listen for reductions in complete situations. For example, are you going to be there tonight? Yeah, but I'm going to be a little late. Do you want to meet outside? Sure. Just let me know when you arrive. This short conversation contains gonna, wanna, and lemmy. Learning them inside context makes them easier to remember. Here is another. Did you talk to Sam? Not yet. I've got to call him. Could you ask him about the meeting? Yeah, I'll ask him. Notice that these expressions are not special slang used by only one group. They are common sound patterns in everyday English. Different speakers and accents may reduce words differently. Some speakers use very clear pronunciation. Others connect everything strongly. Some use gonna frequently. Others use the full form more often. Your goal is flexibility. Do not expect every speaker to sound the same. Listen for families of possible sounds. For example, going to may sound clear, slightly reduced, or strongly reduced. Train yourself to recognize all versions. There is also an important difference between understanding informal reductions and using appropriate English. In formal writing, write going to, not gonna. In a professional email, write want to, not wanna. In a formal presentation, you may speak more clearly. But in everyday conversation, natural reductions are normal. Understanding both formal and informal English makes you a stronger communicator. Do not judge reduced speech as incorrect simply because it looks unusual when written. Spoken language has different rules from formal writing. The more reductions you recognize, the slower fast English will seem. The speaker may not actually become slower. Your brain becomes faster because it no longer treats common sound patterns as mysteries. A sentence that once sounded like one long blur begins to separate into familiar pieces. You hear "did you wanna" and immediately understand "did you want to." You hear "I'm gonna" and immediately expect a future action. You hear "lemme" and know the speaker wants permission to do something. This automatic recognition gives your brain more time to understand the rest of the sentence. Reduced forms are not small details. They are central to real listening. Train them patiently, repeat them naturally, and listen for them every day. Soon, the fast English that once sounded careless and confusing will begin to sound organized and familiar. Chapter 4. Master Connected Speech. Fast English is not simply normal English spoken at high speed. It is connected English. When native speakers talk naturally, they do not pronounce each word as an isolated unit. The ending of one word often connects to the beginning of the next word. Sounds influence each other. Some sounds move, change, or disappear. This process is called connected speech. Connected speech is one of the main reasons learners feel that English speakers eat their words. The words are usually still there, but the boundaries between them are less clear. Consider the phrase, pick it up. A learner may expect 3 separate pieces. Pick it up. In natural speech, the final consonant of pick connects to it, and the final sound of it connects to up. It may sound more like pick it up. The sentence becomes one smooth movement. Another example is turn it off. This may sound like turn it off. The final consonants connect forward to the following vowel sounds. This connection is called consonant to vowel linking. When one word ends in a consonant sound and the next word begins with a vowel sound, English speakers often connect them. Take it sounds like take it. Leave it sounds like leave it. Hold on sounds like hold on. Come in sounds like come in. An apple may sound like an apple. The sound seems to move into the next word. If your brain expects a pause between words, connected speech feels confusing. But once you expect linking, you begin hearing the structure. Let us practice with simple phrases. Call me in an hour. The words connect. Call me in an hour. Can I ask you something? The sounds connect. Can I ask you something? Take a look at it. The phrase flows. Take a look at it. Do not try to create artificial pauses. Let the sounds move forward. Vowel-to-vowel linking also occurs. When one word ends with a vowel sound and the next begins with a vowel sound, speakers may add a light connecting sound. For example, go out. A small W sound may appear. Go out. Do it. This may sound like do wit. I agree. A light Y sound may appear. You agree. She asked. This may sound like she asked. These connecting sounds are not extra words. They help the mouth move smoothly from one vowel to another. Another feature of connected speech is sound deletion. When several consonants appear together, speakers may drop one sound because pronouncing every sound would require extra effort. For example, next day. The T in next may become very weak or disappear. It may sound more like next day. Best friend may sound like be's friend. Old man may sound like all man. Just one may sound like just one. The meaning remains clear because the context and surrounding sounds provide enough information. Learners often become confused because they are listening for a sound that the speaker does not pronounce strongly. If you expect perfect dictionary pronunciation, you may fail to recognize the word. Sound deletion is especially common in consonant clusters. A consonant cluster is a group of consonant sounds together, such as the ending of asked, months, or facts. In careful speech, speakers may pronounce the full cluster. In fast speech, one sound may weaken. For example, I asked him. The final sounds of asked connect with him. The sentence may sound compressed. Last night may lose a strong T. First time may also have a very weak T. This does not mean every speaker always deletes the same sounds. Connected speech changes according to speed, accent, emphasis, and individual style. Your goal is not to memorize one exact pronunciation. Your goal is to accept variation. Another common process is sound change. When certain sounds meet, they can combine into a new sound. We already saw this with did you, which may sound like didja. The D sound and Y sound combine into a J sound. Would you becomes woodja. Could you becomes coulda. Similarly, a T sound followed by Y may become a sheesh sound. Don't you may sound like doncha. Can't you may sound like cancha. Won't you may sound like woncha. What you may sound like whatcha. For example, what are you doing may become what you're doing in very informal speech. The exact form varies, but the sound pattern is common. Another connected speech feature is the American flap sound. In many American accents, a T or D between vowel sounds may sound like a quick soft D. Water may sound like wader. Better may sound like bedder. City may sound like sody. Get it may sound like get it. Put it away may sound like put it away. This sound can surprise learners because they search for a clear T and hear something closer to D. Understanding this feature can immediately improve comprehension of American English. For example, what did he say may contain several connected sounds and weak forms. In fast American speech, it may sound very different from the careful written version. Again, do not become obsessed with copying every accent detail. Recognition is the first goal. You need to understand that the T sound may change depending on its position. Connected speech also changes the way common phrases sound as complete units. Do you know what I mean? May become, do you know what I mean? Are you ready to go? May become, are you ready to go? I'll see you in a minute. May become, I'll see you in a minute. Tell him I called. May become, tell him I called. Ask her if she's coming. May become, ask her if she's coming. Pronouns beginning with H, such as him, her, his, and he, may lose the H sound when unstressed. Tell him may sound like tell him. Call her may sound like call her. Did he may sound like did he. Has he may sound like has he. This is extremely common in natural speech. If you hear I saw her yesterday, the speaker may be saying I saw her yesterday. The each disappears and the sounds connect. When you understand this possibility, the sentence becomes easier to decode. Here is an important practice method. Mark the connections. Take a sentence. Can you turn it off? Mark the likely connections. Can you turn it off? Now read it slowly, but keep the words connected. Then increase your speed while maintaining smoothness. Try. I need to pick it up after work. Connect. I need to pick it up after work. Try. Could you ask him to call me? Connect. Could you ask him to call me? As you repeat, do not focus only on speed. Focus on smooth transitions. Fast speech is usually the result of smooth connection, not forced speed. If you try to speak fast without connection, your speech may become unclear and tense. If you connect sounds naturally, speed develops automatically. Listening and speaking support each other here. When you learn to produce connected speech, your brain becomes more sensitive to it. Your mouth teaches your ears what movements are possible. Another powerful exercise is micro-listening. Choose a very short audio clip, perhaps 3 to 5 seconds. Listen several times. Do not use a long video. Focus on one small phrase. First, write what you think you hear. Second, check the transcript. Third, compare the written words with the actual sounds. Ask, which words connected? Which sounds became weak? Was any sound dropped? Did a T become a soft D? Did you become ya? Did an H sound disappear? Then play the clip again and repeat it. Micro-listening trains details that disappear during long listening sessions. A 10-minute audio may feel useful, but if you understand very little, your brain may not learn specific patterns. A 5-second clip studied deeply can sometimes teach more. You can also use backward building. Take the sentence, I should have told you about it. Begin with the final part, about it. Then add, told you about it. Then, should have told you about it. Finally, I should have told you about it. This helps your mouth and ears process the connected sequence. In fast speech, should have may sound like should have, and told you may sound like told ya. The full sentence may sound like, I should have told ya about it. By building the sentence in sections, you gain control. Another technique is chunk repetition. Instead of repeating one word at a time, repeat groups of meaning. For example, when I got home I realized I had left my phone in the office. Each group forms one listening chunk. Natural speakers usually organize speech in chunks. They do not produce an endless stream without structure. They pause between ideas, not necessarily between words. If you listen for chunks, connected speech becomes easier. A chunk may be, at the end of the day, as far as I know, to be honest with you. The thing is, what I'm trying to say is, these phrases often appear as complete units. When you recognize the whole unit, you do not need to identify each small connection separately. This is why phrase learning is so powerful. Do not only learn the word honest, learn to be honest. Do not only learn far, learn as far as I know. Do not only learn mean, learn do you know what I mean. These chunks are the building blocks of natural conversation. Connected speech becomes less frightening when familiar chunks appear inside it. You should also expose yourself to different speeds. Begin with clear natural speech, not extremely slow learner speech, and not extremely fast comedy or debate. Listen to a short section at normal speed. Then, if needed, slow it slightly. Avoid making it so slow that the rhythm becomes unnatural. Study the sounds, then return to normal speed. The final step is important. Your goal is not to understand permanently slowed English. Your goal is to use slower playback as a bridge to natural speed. After several repetitions, normal speed may feel less fast because the connections are familiar. Do not expect immediate perfection. At first, you may intellectually know about linking, but still miss it in conversation. Keep noticing. Every time you identify one connected phrase, you strengthen the listening system. You may hear turn it off and suddenly realize it means turn it off. That moment matters. Your brain has created a new connection between sound and meaning. With enough moments like this, fast English changes completely. You stop searching for spaces between words. you begin hearing waves of meaning. You notice that English has movement, rhythm, and direction. The language does not become less connected. Your ears become more prepared. Train with short clips. Mark connections. Repeat chunks. Compare careful speech with natural speech. Listen for dropped sounds, changed sounds, and weak pronouns. Connected speech is not an obstacle placed between you and fluent listening. It is the real shape of spoken English. Once your ears recognize that shape, natural conversation begins to open. Chapter 5. Hear the rhythm, stress, and music of English. English is not spoken with equal energy on every word. It has rhythm. Some words receive strong stress. Other words become weak and quick. The voice rises, falls, stretches, and changes direction. This musical pattern helps listeners understand meaning. Many learners focus almost completely on individual sounds. They try to hear every consonant and every vowel. But fast English becomes easier when you also listen to the larger music of the sentence. Imagine the sentence, I didn't say he stole the money. This sentence can communicate different meanings depending on which word receives stress. I didn't say he stole the money. This may mean someone else said it. I didn't say he stole the money. This strongly denies the statement. I didn't say he stole the money. Perhaps the speaker suggested it, but did not directly say it. I didn't say he stole the money. Perhaps someone else stole it. I didn't say he stole the money. Perhaps he borrowed it. I didn't say he stole the money. Perhaps he stole something else. The words stay the same, but stress changes the message. This shows that listening is not only about vocabulary. You must hear what the speaker considers important. In normal English sentences, content words usually receive stress. Content words include nouns, main verbs, adjectives, adverbs, question words, numbers, and negatives. Function words are often unstressed. Function words include articles, pronouns, auxiliary verbs, prepositions, and conjunctions. Consider, the new manager will meet the clients on Monday. The strong beats may be new, manager, meet, clients, and Monday. The smaller words fit between the beats. English is often described as a stress-timed language. This means the stressed beats tend to appear in a regular rhythm, while unstressed words are compressed between them. Look at these sentences. Cats chase mice. The cats will chase the mice. The cats will have been chasing the mice. The number of words increases, but the main stressed beats may remain cats, chase, and mice. The extra words become shorter so the rhythm can continue. This is one reason fast English sounds compressed. Several small words may be fitted into a short space between stressed words. A learner who expects each word to receive equal time becomes lost. A trained listener waits for the strong beats. Try tapping while saying, I need to speak to John. Tap on need, speak, and John. Now say, I really need to speak to John today. The sentence is longer, but the main beats still guide you. When you listen, imagine that the stressed words are stepping stones across a river. You may not clearly hear every small word, but the strong words allow you to cross from one idea to the next. Sentence stress also highlights new information. Suppose someone asks, who bought the tickets? The answer may be, Sarah bought the tickets. Sarah is stressed because it answers the question. If someone asks, what did Sarah buy? The answer may be, Sarah bought the tickets. Now tickets receives the strongest stress. If someone asks, did Sarah sell the tickets? The answer may be, no, she bought them. The main verb receives contrastive stress. Listening for stress helps you identify the answer even when other words are reduced. Intonation is also essential. Intonation is the movement of the voice up and down. A falling tone often signals completion, certainty, or a finished statement. I'll call you tomorrow. The voice may fall at the end. A rising tone often appears in yes or no questions. Are you coming? The voice may rise. However, real intonation is more complex. A rising tone may also show uncertainty, surprise, politeness, or that the speaker has not finished. For example, I was thinking we could meet on Friday. This may sound like a suggestion rather than a direct statement. A rise can invite agreement. A fall can sound final. A rise fall can express strong emotion, surprise, or emphasis. Do not try to memorize every pattern as a strict rule. Listen to the emotional movement. Ask, does the speaker sound certain or unsure, interested or bored, friendly or annoyed, surprised or calm, finished or still continuing? The music often answers these questions before every word becomes clear. Pauses also create meaning. Speakers pause between thought groups. Consider, when the meeting ended, we went downstairs and called a taxi. The pauses divide the sentence into manageable sections. If you try to process the whole sentence as one long line, it may feel difficult. If you hear thought groups, the structure becomes clear. Thought groups usually contain one main idea or one small piece of information. For example, after I finished work, I stopped at the supermarket because we needed some food. Group 1 tells you when. Group 2 tells you what happened. Group 3 gives the reason. When you listen, notice where the speaker takes a small breath or changes pitch. These signals often show the boundaries between ideas. Another important feature is prominence. Prominence means that one word stands out strongly because it carries the speaker's main focus. Imagine, I thought the meeting was on Thursday. The word Thursday may be strongly stressed because the speaker is correcting the day. Or, I thought the meeting was on Thursday. Now the speaker may be expressing uncertainty or surprise. The strongest word often tells you what is new, surprising, corrected, or emotionally important. This can help you understand conversations even when the grammar is fast. English also uses rhythm inside common expressions. Phrases such as soon as possible, at the end of the day, and what do you want me to do have familiar stress patterns. As soon as possible, at the end of the day, what do you want me to do? When you learn phrases with their rhythm, they become easier to recognize. Do not memorize language as silent text. Hear the phrase in your mind. Every useful phrase should have sound, stress, and movement. Suppose you learn, I'll get back to you. Do not store it only as 5 written words. Store the complete sound pattern, I'll get back to you. In natural speech, I'll and to you may be weak, while back receives stress. The phrase becomes one listening unit. Music can also reveal sarcasm or hidden meaning. Someone may say, great. With a bright rising falling tone, it may mean genuine happiness. With a flat or heavy tone, it may mean disappointment. Someone may say, that's just perfect. The dictionary meaning is positive, but the tone may show frustration. Learners who understand words but ignore tone can misunderstand the entire message. Therefore, train emotional listening. Choose a short dialogue and ask, how does each speaker feel? Which word carries the strongest emotion? Where does the voice rise or fall? Does the speaker sound direct, polite, hesitant, impatient, excited, or doubtful? You can often answer these questions even if you miss a few words. A useful exercise is stress prediction. Take a written sentence and decide which words should be stressed. For example, I need to finish the presentation before lunch. You may predict stress on need, finish, presentation, and before lunch. Then listen to a natural recording and compare. The speaker may choose a different focus depending on context. That difference teaches you how meaning controls stress. Another exercise is rhythm shadowing without words. Listen to a sentence and copy only the rhythm using sounds such as da or For example, instead of repeating, I'll meet you at the station around 6, copy the rhythm, da 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 da. This may feel unusual, but it trains you to hear the shape of English without becoming distracted by vocabulary. You can also hum the intonation. Listen to how the voice rises and falls, then copy the melody with a hum. This separates musical listening from word listening. Later, add the real words. Another useful method is hand movement. Move your hands slightly upward when the voice rises and downward when it falls. Tap your finger on stressed words. This physical connection can make rhythm easier to notice. You do not need any special equipment. You only need focused attention. When practicing pronunciation, avoid giving every word equal weight. Consider, could you send me the file when you get a chance? A learner may say each word carefully and create an unnatural rhythm. A natural rhythm may stress. End, file, and chance. The rest becomes lighter. Could you send me the file when you get a chance? This rhythm also improves listening because you become familiar with how smaller words are compressed. Another important point is that fast speech is often easier when the speaker uses clear stress. Even if the overall speed is high, strong rhythmic signals guide the listener. Slow speech with flat rhythm can sometimes be harder because nothing stands out. Therefore, do not judge difficulty only by words per minute. Pay attention to clarity, stress, familiarity, accent, and context. As your listening improves, you will begin hearing emotional meaning automatically. You will notice when a speaker corrects something. You will hear when someone is not finished. You will feel when a question is friendly or challenging. You will recognize confidence, doubt, humor, impatience, and excitement. This deeper understanding makes English feel alive. You are no longer decoding a sequence of dictionary words. You are following a human voice. To train daily, choose 1 minute of natural English. First, listen for the stressed words only. Second, tap the rhythm. Third, notice the rise and fall of the voice. Fourth, divide the speech into thought groups. Fifth, repeat the speaker's rhythm, not only the words. You may discover that your pronunciation becomes smoother and your comprehension becomes faster at the same time. Rhythm helps your brain predict where important information will appear. Stress tells you what matters. Intonation tells you how the speaker feels. Pauses tell you how ideas are organized. Together, these signals turn fast speech into structured communication. Do not listen to English as a flat line of sound. Listen for the beat. Listen for the rise. Listen for the fall. Listen for the word that shines brighter than the others. When you hear the music, speed becomes less frightening. The sentence begins to carry you forward. Chapter 6. Use prediction to listen faster. Strong listeners do not wait passively for every word to arrive. They predict. Prediction does not mean guessing randomly. It means using context, grammar, situation, topic, and common language patterns to prepare for what may come next. Your brain already does this in your first language. When someone begins a familiar sentence, you often know the direction before they finish. If a friend says, "I'm sorry I'm late," but you expect an explanation. If someone says, "The good news is," you expect positive information. If a cashier asks, "Would you like," you expect an offer or question about your purchase. Prediction makes listening faster because the brain does not treat every word as a surprise. Imagine entering a doctor's office. Before the conversation begins, you can predict possible questions. What seems to be the problem? How long have you felt this way? Are you taking any medication? Do you have any allergies? Does it hurt when you move? Because the situation is familiar, the language becomes easier to recognize. Now imagine hearing the same sentences without context through a poor quality recording. They may feel harder. Context prepares the brain. You can improve listening immediately by creating context before you press play. Read the title. Look at the topic. Think of 10 words that may appear. Predict the speaker's goal. Ask what kind of information you are likely to hear. Suppose the title is "How to Build a Better Morning Routine." Before listening, you might predict: wake up, alarm, sleep, exercise, breakfast, planning, phone, energy, habits, time. When these words or related ideas appear, your brain recognizes them more quickly. Prediction also works at the sentence level. Certain phrases create expectations. The main reason is prepares you for an explanation. One example of this is prepares you for an example. The problem is prepares you for difficulty. What happened next was prepares you for the next event. In my opinion, prepares you for a personal view. The first thing you need to do is prepares you for an instruction. These expressions are called frames. They organize speech. When you recognize the frame, You understand the function of the information before hearing all the details. Grammar also creates prediction. If you hear she has been, you expect a verb ending in ing. She has been working. She has been studying. She has been waiting. If you hear if I had known, you expect a result related to an unreal past situation. If I had known, I would have called. If you hear the person who, you expect information describing a person. The person who called yesterday. Your grammar knowledge narrows the possibilities. This is one reason grammar study can support listening when it is connected to real speech. You do not need to name every grammar rule while listening. The patterns should become familiar enough to guide expectation automatically. Collocations also help prediction. A collocation is a group of words that commonly appear together. We say make a decision, not usually do a decision. We say heavy rain, strong coffee, take responsibility, pay attention, and catch a bus. When you hear the first part of a common collocation, your brain can predict the second part. Pay may lead to attention. Maker may lead to decision, mistake, difference, or plan. Take may lead to a break, a chance, a seat, or responsibility. Context helps choose the correct possibility. The more phrases you know, the more accurately you predict. This is why learning isolated words is not enough. If you learn responsibility, also learn take responsibility, accept responsibility, a sense of responsibility, be responsible for. Phrase knowledge speeds up listening. Another type of prediction comes from conversational patterns. Many everyday conversations follow common structures. A greeting may be followed by a question. A request may be followed by acceptance, refusal, or clarification. A problem may be followed by advice. An opinion may be followed by agreement or disagreement. A story may follow time order. A complaint may include a problem, evidence, and a desired solution. Suppose one speaker says, "I'm having trouble connecting to the internet." You can predict possible responses. Have you restarted the router? Is the Wi-Fi working on your phone? When did the problem start? Let me take a look. Even if the response is spoken quickly, your expectation helps. Prediction is especially useful on the telephone, where you cannot rely on facial expression or body language. Before making a phone call, prepare possible language. If you are calling to schedule an appointment, expect questions about your name, preferred date, available time, contact information, and reason for the appointment. If you are calling customer service, expect questions about your account, order number, problem, and requested solution. Preparation reduces anxiety and improves comprehension. Another powerful skill is predicting meaning from cause and effect. If someone says, "It was raining heavily, so," you expect a result related to the rain. Perhaps they stayed home, arrived late, cancelled something, or used an umbrella. If someone says, "I hadn't eaten all day, so," you expect hunger, weakness, or a decision to get food. Even if you miss the exact result, the first part creates a useful range of possibilities. Contrast creates prediction too. "I like the job, but," you expect a negative or limiting point. "She studied hard, however," you expect a surprising result. Although the hotel was expensive, you expect something positive or unexpected after the contrast. Signal words prepare your brain for the relationship between ideas. Prediction also helps you recover after missing something. Suppose you hear, "We were supposed to leave at 6, but," you miss the next few words, then hear, "until almost 9. From the structure, you can guess that something delayed the departure. You may not know the exact reason, but you can rebuild the main meaning. Good listeners constantly build, adjust, and correct predictions. They do not expect every prediction to be correct. Suppose you think a speaker will say train, but they say bus. Your brain updates the message. Prediction is flexible, not rigid. The goal is preparation, not control. A useful exercise is pause and predict. Play a sentence and pause before the final phrase. For example, "I didn't bring an umbrella, so," pause. Predict 3 possible endings. "I got wet. I bought one. I waited inside." Then continue and hear the actual ending. This exercise trains your brain to use meaning and grammar. Try. The restaurant was fully booked, so possible predictions. We went somewhere else. We had to wait. We ordered food at home. Try. I was about to call you when possible predictions. You called me. My phone died. Someone arrived. Prediction becomes stronger through practice. Another exercise is title prediction. Before listening to a video, write 5 questions you expect the speaker to answer. For a video called How to Improve Your Memory, you might write, why do people forget? Does sleep affect memory? What role does repetition play? Can exercise help? Which habits make memory worse? Now listen and check whether the speaker answers these questions. This keeps your attention active. You can also predict vocabulary from images or situations in real life. But even without visual support, titles and topics provide strong clues. Another technique is transcript gap prediction. Take a short transcript and remove several words. Read the sentence and guess the missing words. Then listen and compare. For example, I need to Osri an appointment for next week. Possible answers include make, schedule, or book. The audio reveals the actual word. This exercise connects grammar, collocation, and sound. You should also learn common discourse markers. Discourse markers are expressions speakers use to organize thoughts. Well, so, anyway, actually, basically, I mean, you know, let me think. The thing is, by the way, these expressions often do not carry the central message, but they tell you how the speaker is managing the conversation. Well may introduce hesitation, disagreement, or a thoughtful answer. Actually may introduce correction or surprising information. Anyway may return to the main topic or end a side story. By the way introduces a new topic. The thing is often introduces a problem or important explanation. When you hear these markers, you can predict the speaker's intention. For example, the thing is, I've already made plans. You can expect a reason or difficulty. Actually, I changed my mind. You can expect correction. Anyway, let's get back to the main point. You can expect the speaker to return to the topic. These patterns make conversation easier to follow. Prediction also depends on world knowledge. If someone says, the flight was cancelled because of, you may predict weather, technical problems, or staff issues. If someone says, the price of food has increased because, you may predict supply problems, transport costs, inflation, or poor harvests. Your knowledge of life supports your language understanding. This means listening improvement is not only about studying English, it is also about becoming familiar with topics. If you listen regularly to content about business, health, travel, technology, or education, you build topic-specific knowledge. Future listening becomes easier because the ideas and vocabulary are familiar. This creates a powerful cycle. The more you listen, the more knowledge you gain. The more knowledge you gain, the easier listening becomes. However, prediction can fail when you become too attached to one idea. Suppose you hear the word bank. You may imagine a place for money, but the speaker may be talking about the side of a river. Keep your predictions open until context confirms the meaning. Do not force the sentence to match your first guess. Strong listeners are willing to revise. Another mistake is predicting word by word instead of meaning by meaning. You do not need to guess the exact next word. Predict the type of information. Will the speaker give a reason, an example, a contrast, a time, a place, a solution, a personal opinion? This broader prediction is more useful. For example, after there are 2 main reasons for this, you know the speaker will probably list 2 reasons. You do not need to know the exact words yet. Your brain creates a structure with 2 empty spaces. When the reasons arrive, you place them inside that structure. This reduces mental effort. A simple daily prediction routine can transform your listening. Before listening, predict the topic and vocabulary. During listening, predict the direction of ideas. After listening, check which predictions were correct. Ask what surprised you. Notice which language patterns helped you. This routine turns every listening session into active training. Fast English does not give you much time to analyze. Prediction creates time by preparing your brain early. The speaker says half a phrase, and your brain already understands the likely direction. The voice becomes less unpredictable. The conversation becomes easier to enter. Prediction is not cheating. It is a natural part of fluent listening. Native speakers use it constantly. Train yourself to expect, confirm, adjust, and continue. When your brain learns to move slightly ahead of the sound, fast English begins to feel slower. Chapter 7. Build listening stamina without burning out. Some learners can understand English for 30 seconds but become lost after 5 minutes. This does not always mean the material is too difficult. Sometimes the problem is listening stamina. Listening stamina is the ability to remain mentally present for a longer period without becoming tired, distracted, or frustrated. Listening in a second language requires energy. Your brain must recognize sounds, identify words, connect grammar, remember previous information, predict meaning, and manage unknown vocabulary. When these processes are not yet automatic, they consume a great deal of attention. That is why 10 minutes of English listening can feel more tiring than 30 minutes in your first language. The solution is not to force yourself through hours of difficult audio. You need progressive training. Imagine preparing to run a long distance. You would not begin by running for 3 hours. You would build endurance gradually. Listening should be trained in the same way. Begin with short sessions that demand real focus. 5 minutes of active listening can be more valuable than 1 hour of distracted listening. During active listening, you pay attention to the main idea, sound patterns, stress, and useful phrases. You may replay short sections. You may repeat the speaker. You are mentally engaged. During passive listening, English plays in the background while your attention is somewhere else. Passive listening can create familiarity, but it should not replace focus practice. Use both for different purposes. Active listening builds skill. Passive listening increases exposure. A balanced routine may include 10 or 15 minutes of active work and additional relaxed listening during daily activities. The first step in building stamina is choosing suitable material. If every sentence contains many unknown words, your brain will become exhausted. If the speech is far above your level, you may stop processing meaning and simply hear noise. Choose content where you understand approximately the main idea and a reasonable amount of detail. The material should stretch you, not crush you. A useful rule is that the audio should feel challenging but recoverable. You may miss parts, but repeated listening or a transcript should make the message understandable. Avoid choosing content only because it is popular or advanced. Choose content that matches your current training goal. If you want to improve everyday conversation, listen to interviews, dialogues, stories, and casual discussions. If you need English for work, listen to meetings, presentations, professional conversations, and industry-related content. If you want academic listening, practice lectures, explanations, and structured arguments. Specific practice creates specific improvement. Another important step is dividing long content into sections. Do not treat a 30-minute video as one listening unit. Divide it into 2-minute or 5-minute sections. Listen to one section deeply. Understand the main idea. Replay difficult moments. Notice useful phrases. Then continue. This prevents mental overload. Your brain remembers information better when it receives clear sections rather than one huge stream. You can use a 3-round listening method. In round 1, listen without stopping. Focus only on the main idea. In round 2, listen again and identify important details. In round 3, study difficult sections, check the transcript, and repeat useful phrases. This structure gives your brain a clear mission each time. Do not try to do everything during the first listen. The first listen is not an exam. It is an introduction. Many learners feel disappointed when they do not understand everything immediately. They believe replaying is a sign of weakness, but replaying is training. Musicians repeat sections of music. Athletes repeat movements. Actors repeat lines. Language learners should repeat sound. The goal is not to prove what you already understand. The goal is to improve what you do not yet understand. However, repetition must remain active. Playing the same audio 10 times while feeling confused may not help. Each repetition should have a purpose. First, listen for the topic. Next, listen for key words. Next, check the transcript. Next, listen for reductions. Next, repeat the rhythm. Purposeful repetition creates progress. Another challenge is attention loss. You may begin listening carefully, then suddenly realize that your mind has been somewhere else for the last minute. This happens to everyone, even in a first language. Do not become angry. Return your attention to the current sentence. You do not always need to restart from the beginning. In real conversations, you cannot restart. Practice recovery. Ask yourself, what is the speaker discussing now? Which words can I catch? What is the current emotional tone? Re-enter the message. Recovery is an important listening skill. Strong listeners are not people who never lose attention. They are people who know how to return quickly. You can improve focus by giving yourself a listening task. For example, listen for 3 reasons. Listen for the speaker's main problem. Listen for every time the speaker gives an example. Listen for dates and numbers. Listen for opinion phrases. Listen for words related to travel. A clear task keeps the brain active. Another useful method is note-taking, but notes should be simple. Do not try to write every sentence. Writing too much can make you miss the audio. Use keywords, arrows, symbols, and short phrases. Suppose the speaker says, I moved to London in 2022 because I received a job offer, but the first few months were difficult due to the high cost of living. Your notes might be 2022, London, reason, job, first months difficult, high costs. These notes capture the structure without demanding full sentences. After listening, use the notes to summarize aloud. This strengthens both comprehension and memory. Listening stamina also depends on comfort with uncertainty. If you believe every unknown word is dangerous, listening becomes emotionally exhausting. You need to develop tolerance. Tell yourself, I may miss some words, and I can still understand. I do not need complete certainty. I can use context. I can continue. This mental calm preserves energy. An anxious brain becomes tired faster than a curious brain. Approach listening as exploration, not judgment. Instead of asking, how much did I fail to understand? Ask, what can I discover in this audio? This change creates patience. You should also vary the type of listening you do. Use intensive listening for short sections. Use extensive listening for longer, easier content. Intensive listening means studying details. You replay, check transcripts, analyze sounds, and repeat. Extensive listening means following the message for enjoyment or general understanding without stopping frequently. Both are necessary. Intensive listening improves accuracy. Extensive listening improves speed, confidence, and stamina. If you only do intensive listening, English may begin to feel like constant work. If you only do extensive listening, you may repeat the same misunderstandings. Balance creates growth. For extensive listening, choose content that is easier than your highest level. The purpose is to stay with the message for a longer time. Stories are especially useful because they create curiosity. You want to know what happens next, so your attention remains active. Podcasts with familiar hosts can also help. Once you become used to a speaker's voice, accent, humor, and typical vocabulary, understanding improves. This gives you confidence before you move to unfamiliar speakers. Listening stamina improves when some parts of the experience feel comfortable. Do not constantly change to a new accent, new topic, and new format. Repeated exposure to the same speaker can be highly valuable. At the same time, do not stay with one voice forever. Use familiarity to build strength, then gradually add variety. A practical weekly plan may look like this. On the first day, listen to a short, clear clip and study it deeply. On the second day, listen to the same speaker on a new topic. On the third day, listen to a different speaker with a similar accent. On the fourth day, listen to an easier long-form conversation. On the fifth day, practice a more challenging clip. On the sixth day, review useful phrases and repeat them. On the seventh day, enjoy English without intense study. This pattern combines challenge, repetition, and recovery. Rest is important. Your brain consolidates sound patterns after practice. More listening is not always better if your attention is completely exhausted. A focused 20-minute session can be enough. Consistency matters more than occasional extreme effort. 20 minutes every day is more powerful than 3 hours once a week. Daily contact keeps sound patterns active in your mind. You can also use listening ladders. Begin with a short, clear speaker on a familiar topic. Then listen to a natural conversation on the same topic. Then listen to a faster discussion. Then listen to multiple speakers. Then try an unfamiliar accent. Each level adds one new difficulty. Do not increase speed, vocabulary, accent difficulty, audio quality problems, and number of speakers all at once. Control the challenge. This helps you identify exactly what is causing difficulty. Sometimes learners say, "I cannot understand fast English," but the true problem may be an unfamiliar accent, background noise, unknown topic, or multiple speakers interrupting each other. Separate these challenges. First, practice speed with a familiar accent. Then practice accents at moderate speed. Then add background noise. Then add group conversations. Step-by-step training is more effective than total confusion. Listening stamina also grows through memory training. When a sentence is long, you must remember the beginning while processing the end. You can practice with sentence expansion. Begin. I called him. Then, I called him after work. Then, I called him after work because I needed help. Then, I called him after work because I needed help with the presentation. Repeat each sentence from memory. This strengthens your ability to hold language in your mind. You can also practice retelling. Listen to a short story once. Then retell as much as you remember. Listen again. Add missing details. The goal is not exact repetition. The goal is to preserve the message over time. Another useful exercise is delayed summary. Listen to 2 minutes of English. Wait 30 seconds without taking notes. Then summarize. This trains your brain to hold the main ideas rather than only the latest words. Stamina is also connected to motivation. If the content means nothing to you, your attention will disappear quickly. Choose topics that genuinely interest you. If you enjoy technology, use technology content. If you enjoy personal development, listen to personal development. If you enjoy stories, interviews, business, travel, history, or sport, use those interests. You do not receive extra points for choosing boring material. Interest gives your brain energy. However, occasionally listen outside your comfort zone. Real life will not always stay inside your favorite topics. Use interest to build the habit. Then use variety to build flexibility. Track progress in a simple way. Do not measure only how much you understand. Record how long you can remain focused. Perhaps today you can actively listen for 5 minutes. After 2 weeks, you can manage 10 minutes. After 1 month, you can follow a 20-minute conversation. This is real progress. You may also notice that you need fewer repetitions, recover faster after missing words, and feel less tired. These signs matter. Listening stamina grows quietly. You may not feel a dramatic change each day, but after consistent practice, you realize that English no longer exhausts you as quickly. A conversation that once felt long now feels manageable. A podcast that once required total concentration now feels more natural. Your brain is becoming efficient. Efficiency is the hidden goal. At first, every listening process requires conscious effort. Later, sound recognition, phrase recognition, and prediction become automatic. Automatic skills use less energy. This allows you to listen longer and understand more. Do not try to become strong in one heroic session. Build stamina through small, repeated victories. Stay focused for a little longer. Recover one more time. Understand one more idea. Complete one more short section. Listening strength is created through consistency. When your ears, memory, and attention learn to work together, fast English stops feeling like a race you are losing. It becomes a conversation you can stay inside. Chapter 8. Use shadowing and echo training correctly. Shadowing is one of the most powerful methods for improving listening, pronunciation, rhythm, and speaking speed. However, Many learners use it incorrectly. They play fast audio, try to repeat every word immediately, become lost, and then decide that shadowing is too difficult. Effective shadowing should be progressive. Shadowing means listening to a speaker and repeating the speech almost at the same time, usually with a very short delay. Echo training is slightly easier. You listen to a short phrase, pause, and then repeat it. Both methods train the connection between your ears and your mouth. Why does speaking help listening? Because when your mouth learns how natural English movements feel, your ears become better at recognizing those movements in other speakers. If you can comfortably produce "could you let me know," you are more likely to recognize it when someone else says it quickly. Sound production strengthens sound recognition. Begin with echo training. Choose a short clip with one clear speaker. The audio should contain natural language, but it should not be far above your level. Listen to one sentence. Pause. Repeat the sentence. Do not read the transcript at first. Copy what you hear. Then listen again. Ask yourself, did I copy the correct words? Did I copy the stress? Did I connect the sounds? Did my voice rise and fall like the speakers? Did I speak in chunks? Echo training gives you time to process. Start with phrases of 3 to 7 words. For example, I'll let you know. Give me a second. What are you talking about? I didn't expect that. Do you know what I mean? Listen, pause, repeat. Your goal is not to perform perfectly. Your goal is to imitate closely. After short phrases become comfortable, use longer thought groups. For example, I'll call you when I get home. I wasn't sure what you wanted me to do. The meeting has been moved to Friday afternoon. Let me know if you need anything else. Repeat one group at a time. If a sentence is too long, divide it. Take, I wanted to finish the report before lunch, but I had to deal with an unexpected problem. Divide it. I wanted to finish the report before lunch, but I had to deal with an unexpected problem. Then combine the pieces. This is called chunking. Chunking prevents memory overload. Next, compare your version with the transcript. Notice where your ears made mistakes. Perhaps you heard "I need a call" instead of "I need to call." Perhaps you missed a week too. Perhaps "did you" sounded like "did ya." Perhaps the speaker dropped an H in "tell him." These mistakes are valuable. They reveal exactly what your ears need to learn. Do not only correct the words, correct the sound expectation. If you missed "to" because it sounded like "tour," listen to several examples of week 2. If you missed "him" because the H disappeared, practice phrases such as "tell him," "call him," and "ask him." Turn one mistake into a listening lesson. After echo training, move to delayed shadowing. Play the audio and repeat 2 or 3 words behind the speaker. Do not try to speak at exactly the same moment. Listen first, then follow. Imagine the speaker is walking and you are following one step behind. This small delay gives your brain enough time to recognize the phrase. Begin with slow, clear, natural speech. Avoid very slow artificial speech because you want real rhythm. Also avoid extremely fast speech at the beginning. Use material where you can understand at least the general message. The first time, listen without shadowing. The second time, read the transcript while listening. The third time, shadow with the transcript. The fourth time, shadow without the transcript. This 4-step method creates familiarity before performance. Many learners skip preparation and attempt difficult shadowing immediately. They end up repeating random sounds without understanding. Understanding matters. Shadowing is not only mouth exercise, you should know what the speaker means. Meaning helps memory, stress, and intonation. When you understand the speaker's intention, you can imitate the voice more naturally. Suppose the sentence is, "I honestly can't believe you did that." If the speaker sounds surprised, your shadowing should carry surprise. If the speaker sounds angry, the rhythm will be different. Copy emotion, not only pronunciation. This develops deeper listening. Another useful technique is silent shadowing. Listen to the speaker and move your mouth without producing a strong voice. This reduces pressure and helps you focus on timing. You can also whisper the sentence, then repeat at normal volume. Silent shadowing is useful when the audio is slightly too fast. Your mouth begins learning the movement before your voice must produce everything clearly. Another method is selective shadowing. You do not need to repeat every word. First, shadow only the stressed words. Suppose the sentence is, I really need to finish this before tomorrow morning. Repeat only, really need finish tomorrow morning. Then shadow the complete sentence. This trains you to hear the main rhythm. You can also shadow only the final words of thought groups. Listen. When I arrived at the station, repeat. At the station, listen. I realized I had forgotten my ticket. Repeat. Forgotten my ticket. This reduces difficulty while keeping you active. Another powerful exercise is transformation shadowing. Listen to a sentence, then repeat the meaning using your own words. Speaker, I'm exhausted because I barely slept last night. Your version, I'm very tired because I didn't get enough sleep. This is not exact shadowing. It is listening plus paraphrasing. It proves that you understood the message and can express it independently. Use exact imitation to train sound. Use paraphrasing to train meaning. Both are necessary. Recording yourself can make shadowing more effective. Record your voice repeating the same sentence as the speaker. Then compare. Do not judge your accent emotionally. Listen for specific features. Was your sentence too slow? Did you stress too many words? Did you pause in unnatural places? Did you pronounce every small word too strongly? Did your intonation stay flat? Did you lose final sounds? Choose one improvement at a time. Trying to correct everything creates tension. For example, during one practice session, focus only on sentence stress. During another, focus on linking. During another, focus on reduced forms. During another, focus on intonation. Specific attention creates clearer progress. You should also choose speakers carefully. A speaker with clear audio and a natural conversational style is ideal. At first, stay with one speaker for several days. Your brain becomes familiar with the person's voice, accent, speed, and rhythm. This allows you to focus on technique rather than constant adaptation. Later, practice with different speakers. Do not copy only actors delivering dramatic lines. Include normal conversations, interviews, explanations, and everyday speech. Your goal is real-world understanding. Use short sessions. 5 to 10 minutes of serious shadowing is demanding. You do not need to shadow for 1 hour. A strong practice session may focus on only 30 seconds of audio. Study those 30 seconds deeply. Listen, read, mark stress, notice reductions, echo each phrase. Shadow with text, shadow without text. Record yourself. Repeat the complete section. This level of depth can transform your listening. One short section may contain dozens of lessons about real speech. For example, consider, I was going to call you, but I got caught up at work. You can study I was with weak pronunciation, going to becoming gonna, call you connecting, but I linking, got caught up connecting across several consonants and vowels. At work, receiving final stress. One sentence can train reductions, linking, rhythm, and meaning. Another effective practice is speed layering. First, listen at a slightly slower speed if necessary. Understand the sentence. Repeat accurately. Then return to normal speed. Shadow several times. If the speaker is very fast, you may increase playback gradually. However, do not spend too long at slow speed. Natural rhythm can become distorted. Use slow speed as a temporary support. Your destination is normal speed. You can also practice faster than normal training carefully. After mastering a short clip at normal speed, listen at a slightly faster speed for 1 or 2 repetitions, then return to normal speed. Normal speed may suddenly feel easier. This is similar to training with a heavier weight and then returning to a lighter one. Do this only with familiar material. Using faster speed on completely unknown audio may create confusion rather than growth. Shadowing also improves working memory. You must hold a short piece of speech in your mind while producing the previous piece. At first, this feels difficult. With practice, your delay becomes more stable. You stop losing the beginning of sentences. This ability helps in real conversations because you can process language while new language continues to arrive. Another benefit is automatic phrase learning. When you shadow, "I'm not sure if that's a good idea" many times, you learn the entire pattern. Later, you can recognize it instantly and use it naturally. You are no longer building the sentence word by word. Shadowing turns knowledge into automatic language. However, avoid mindless imitation. After practicing a clip, explain what the speaker said. Use the phrases in new sentences. If the phrase is, "I ended up staying home," create examples. "I ended up taking the bus." "We ended up canceling the trip." "She ended up working late." This turns one listening phrase into flexible English. Another mistake is choosing clips that are too long. Do not shadow an entire 30-minute podcast from beginning to end as a beginner. Your attention and pronunciation quality will decrease. Choose a small section, master it, and move forward. Quality is more important than quantity. Another mistake is trying to copy an accent so strongly that speech becomes unnatural. Your goal is clear, flexible pronunciation and strong listening. You do not need to erase your identity. Copy useful features: stress, rhythm, linking, vowel length, and intonation. Do not become ashamed of your natural accent. An accent is not a failure. The goal is mutual understanding. Shadowing should create freedom, not insecurity. A practical 10-minute shadowing routine can work like this. For the first minute, listen to the clip without speaking. For the next 2 minutes, read the transcript and notice the meaning. For the next 2 minutes, echo short phrases. For the next 2 minutes, shadow with the transcript. For the next 2 minutes, shadow without the transcript. For the final minute, summarize the message in your own words. This routine trains comprehension, pronunciation, memory, and fluency. Repeat the same clip the next day before choosing a new one. You may be surprised by how much easier it feels after sleep. The brain continues organizing sound patterns after practice. Consistency is more important than intensity. Shadowing may feel uncomfortable at first because it exposes the gap between what you think you hear and what the speaker actually says. That discomfort is useful. It shows you the path forward. Every missed sound becomes visible. Every weak rhythm becomes trainable. Every difficult phrase becomes repeatable. Over time, your ears and mouth begin working as one system. You hear a phrase, recognize its shape, understand its meaning, and reproduce it without heavy analysis. This is the beginning of automatic listening. Do not chase speed directly. Chase accurate rhythm. Chase clear chunks. Chase familiar sound patterns. Speed will come as a result. Shadowing is not magic, but when practiced correctly, it is one of the fastest ways to make natural English feel familiar. Listen closely. Follow calmly. Repeat with meaning. Let the speaker's rhythm train your ears from the inside. Chapter 9. Understand different accents, speakers, and real-world noise. Many learners become comfortable with one English speaker and then feel completely lost when they hear someone new. This can be discouraging. You may understand your teacher, a favorite YouTube creator, or a familiar podcast host. Then you hear a different accent, a deeper voice, a faster speaker, or a group conversation, and your confidence disappears. This does not mean your previous practice was useless. It means your listening system needs variety. English is spoken by people from many countries and regions. There is no single voice called real English. You may hear British, American, Australian, Canadian, Irish, South African, Indian, Nigerian, Pakistani, Singaporean, Caribbean, and many other accents. Within each country, there are also regional accents, social differences, age differences, and individual speaking habits. Even two people from the same city may sound different. Your goal is not to master every accent in the world. Your goal is to become flexible enough to adapt. Accent difficulty often comes from unfamiliar sound patterns. A vowel may sound different. An R may be stronger or weaker. A T may be pronounced clearly, softly, or not at all. The rhythm may feel different. Certain words may be stressed in an unfamiliar way. Vocabulary may change. For example, one speaker says apartment. another says flat. One says elevator, another says lift. One says vacation, another says holiday. These differences can create temporary confusion. The brain understands familiar patterns faster than unfamiliar ones. Therefore, accent training is largely familiarity training. You do not need to study complicated linguistic descriptions for every accent. Repeated exposure teaches your brain. Begin with controlled variety. Choose 3 speakers discussing similar topics. Listen to one speaker for several days, then add a second, then add a third. Compare how they pronounce common words and phrases. Because the topic is similar, vocabulary difficulty remains controlled. You can focus on sound. For example, listen to 3 people talking about work, travel, health, or daily habits. Notice, how does each speaker pronounce water? How does each speaker pronounce better? Do they pronounce the R in work strongly? How do they say can't? What happens to final T sounds? How quickly do they reduce small words? Do not decide that one pronunciation is correct and the others are wrong. Treat them as different versions of English. Flexibility begins with acceptance. If you believe every speaker should sound like your textbook recording, unfamiliar accents will always feel like mistakes. When you accept variation, your brain becomes curious instead of resistant. Another challenge is voice quality. A low voice may be harder to understand than a high voice. A speaker may talk softly, mumble, speak through emotion, or laugh while talking. Older and younger speakers may use different rhythms. Some people speak with long pauses. Others interrupt themselves and change direction. Real listening includes these variations. Do not train only with perfect studio recordings. Clear audio is useful at the beginning, but eventually you need real-world conditions. Real conversations may include traffic, music, other voices, echoes, phone distortion, poor microphones, or distance. Noise removes part of the sound. When the audio signal is incomplete, context and prediction become more important. You cannot depend on perfect pronunciation. A useful training method is controlled noise. First, listen to a short clip in clear audio. Understand it well. Then listen again while a low level of background noise is present. Because you already know the message, your brain learns to recover language from an imperfect signal. Do not begin with loud noise and unknown speech. That may only create frustration. Gradually increase difficulty. You can also practice with phone quality audio. Telephone speech often removes certain frequencies, making voices sound less clear. Listen to short phone conversations or voice messages. Focus on key information such as names, times, locations, numbers, and actions. These are the details you often need in real life. Numbers deserve special practice. Fast telephone numbers, prices, dates, and times can be difficult even for advanced learners. Practice listening to pairs that sound similar. 13 and 30, 14 and 40, 15 and 50, 16 and 60, 17 and 70, 18 and 80, 19 and 90. In 13, the main stress is usually on the second part. In 30, the stress is usually on the first part. Context also helps. If someone says the meeting begins at 13, this may refer to 24-hour time. If someone says it costs $13, the situation makes the number clearer. Confirm important numbers in real conversations. You can say, did you say 13 or 30? Was that £15? So the appointment is at 4:15, correct? Clarification is not failure. It is responsible communication. Names and place names can also be difficult because you cannot predict them easily. If someone introduces a name you have never heard, ask for repetition or spelling. Sorry, could you say your name again? Could you spell that for me? Did you say Martin? Native speakers also ask these questions. Strong communication includes clarification. Another difficult situation is group conversation. When several people speak, voices change quickly. Speakers interrupt, overlap, laugh, and use shared context. Begin by listening to two-person conversations. Learn to follow speaker changes. Then move to three-person discussions. Focus first on who agrees, who disagrees, and what the main topic is. Do not expect to catch every joke or interruption. Group conversation requires social listening as well as language listening. Notice phrases used to enter the discussion. Can I add something? Sorry to interrupt, but that reminds me. I completely agree. I'm not sure about that. What do you think? These signals help you follow conversational movement. Speakers also use references such as he, she, they, that, and it. In a group conversation, you must remember what these words refer to. Take simple notes if necessary. Speaker A supports the idea. Speaker B gives a problem. Speaker C suggests a solution. This structure can be more useful than exact wording. Fast group speech may contain unfinished sentences. For example, I was going to wait. You mean yesterday? Yeah, exactly. But then she, oh, I know what happened. Written grammar may be incomplete, but communication continues through shared context. Learners who expect perfect sentences may become confused. Real conversation is collaborative. People interrupt, repair, clarify, and complete each other's ideas. Your listening must become comfortable with imperfection. Another challenge is humor. Jokes often depend on cultural knowledge, wordplay, timing, or unexpected meaning. Missing a joke does not mean you fail to understand English. Humor is one of the last areas to become easy in another language. Focus first on the conversation's main direction. Over time, cultural exposure will improve humor comprehension. Idioms and slang also vary between groups and regions. Do not try to memorize every new slang word. Learn expressions that appear repeatedly in your chosen environment. If you work with international colleagues, focus on professional conversational English. If you watch American entertainment, learn common American informal phrases. If you plan to study in Britain, become familiar with British vocabulary and everyday expressions. Prioritize relevance. However, always check whether slang is polite, informal, regional, or outdated before using it. Understanding can be broader than production. You may recognize many expressions that you do not personally use. Accent training should never become accent prejudice. A familiar accent may sound clear simply because you have heard it often. An unfamiliar accent may sound incorrect, even when it is perfectly understandable to experienced listeners. Train respect as well as comprehension. English belongs to millions of speakers around the world. Your future conversations may involve people who learned English as a second or third language. International English includes many pronunciation patterns. Clear communication is more important than copying one prestige accent. A useful exercise is accent rotation. Choose one short topic. Listen to a speaker from one region on Monday, a different region on Tuesday, another on Wednesday. Return to the first speaker on Thursday. Notice what became easier. Do not expect complete understanding during the first exposure. Give your brain time to adapt. Often an accent that feels extremely difficult becomes much easier after 10 or 15 minutes because your brain begins mapping the sound system. The beginning of a conversation may be the hardest part. Stay patient. Another strategy is transcript support. First listen without the transcript. Then read while listening. Notice which words sounded different from your expectation. Listen again without text. The transcript should reveal sound patterns, not become permanent support. Your goal is to remove it after learning. You can create an accent notebook. Write examples such as final R strong or weak, water pronunciation, can't vowel, better pronunciation, typical rhythm, common vocabulary. Do not fill the notebook with judgments. Record observations. This makes variety feel systematic instead of chaotic. Real-world listening also requires repair strategies. When you do not understand, do not simply say what repeatedly. Use specific clarification. Could you say the last part again? Did you say the meeting was cancelled? What does that word mean in this context? Could you speak a little more slowly? Could you give me an example? So, you mean we should wait until tomorrow? These phrases protect the conversation. You can also repeat the part you understood. I understood that the delivery is delayed, but I missed the new date. This helps the speaker provide exactly what you need. Clarification is part of fluent communication. Fluent speakers do not understand everything automatically. They know how to repair misunderstanding quickly and politely. Another important skill is emotional control. When an unfamiliar speaker begins talking, do not immediately tell yourself, "I cannot understand this accent." That thought closes attention. Instead, say, "I need a few moments to adjust." Listen for familiar words. Identify the topic. Notice repeated sounds. Give your brain a chance. The first sentence may feel difficult. The fifth may feel easier. Confidence improves adaptation. You should also remember that understanding can be uneven. You may understand one person clearly and another person poorly. You may understand an accent in a familiar topic, but struggle with the same accent in a technical discussion. This is normal. Listening ability is not one fixed number. It changes with speaker, topic, speed, audio quality, vocabulary, and emotional state. Do not use one difficult conversation as proof that you have made no progress. Evaluate patterns over time. Can you adjust faster than before? Can you understand more speakers? Can you recover after missing a sentence? Can you ask better clarification questions? Can you follow the main point even with noise? These are signs of flexible listening. The real world will never offer perfect audio, one familiar voice, clear textbook pronunciation, and unlimited repetition. Training must gradually prepare you for variety. Begin with clarity. Add new speakers. Add accents. Add group conversation. Add phone audio. Add mild noise. Add unfamiliar topics. Increase one difficulty at a time. Your ears do not need perfection. They need experience. Every new voice teaches your brain that English can take another shape and still carry the same meaning. The more shapes you recognize, the freer you become. Chapter 10. Follow a 30-day plan to understand fast English naturally. Improvement becomes real when knowledge turns into routine. You now understand why fast English feels difficult. You know about content words, reductions, connected speech, rhythm, predictions, stamina, shadowing, accents, and real-world listening. But knowing these ideas is not enough. Your ears change through repeated exposure. You need a simple plan that you can follow even when motivation is low. The next 30 days can create a strong foundation. You do not need several hours every day. You need focused practice, clear goals, and consistency. The plan will move through 4 stages. The first stage builds awareness. The second stage trains sound recognition. The third stage develops speed and stamina. The fourth stage creates real-world flexibility. You can spend approximately 20 to 40 minutes each day. Adjust the time according to your schedule, but keep daily contact with English. On difficult days, do at least 10 minutes. A small session protects the habit. Days 1 to 7 build sound awareness. During the first week, do not chase difficult content. Your goal is to notice how natural English sounds. Choose one clear speaker and short clips of 30 seconds to 2 minutes. On day 1, listen to one short clip 3 times. The first time, identify the topic. The second time, write 5 keywords. The third time, check the transcript. Notice which words you knew but did not recognize. Create a short list called Words I Know But Couldn't Hear. This list is extremely valuable. It shows the gap between your reading vocabulary and listening vocabulary. On day 2, use the same clip. Mark the stressed words in the transcript. Listen and tap the rhythm. Repeat only the stressed words. Then repeat the complete sentences. Do not worry about accent perfection. Focus on strong and weak words. On day 3, study reductions. Find examples of weak to, for, and of, pronouns, contractions, or common forms such as gonna, wanna, and gotta. Choose 5. Repeat each example several times. Create your reduction notebook. Write the full form and the natural sound. On day 4, study connections. Listen for consonant to vowel linking. Mark phrases such as pick it up, turn it on, call him, ask her, take a look. Repeat the complete sound, not isolated words. On day 5, practice thought groups. Divide the speaker's sentences into meaningful chunks. For example, when I got to work, I realized I had left my laptop at home. Pause after each group. Repeat the sentence with the same grouping. On day 6, use echo practice. Listen to one phrase, pause, and repeat. Focus on rhythm and intonation. Record yourself if possible. Compare only one feature, such as stress. On day 7, review. Listen to the original clip again without the transcript. Notice how much clearer it sounds. Do not choose a new clip immediately. Experience the result of deep study. Then summarize the message in your own words. At the end of week 1, ask, which reductions do I recognize now? Which connected phrases became easier? Can I hear stressed words more clearly? Do I understand the clip with fewer repetitions? Do not expect total transformation. Look for specific improvement. Days 8 to 14. Train phrase recognition. During the second week, focus on common chunks and conversational patterns. Choose material with everyday English. On day 8, collect 10 useful phrases from a short conversation. Examples may include, I'm not sure. Let me think. That makes sense. What do you mean? I'll get back to you. It depends, to be honest. As far as I know. The thing is, do you know what I mean? Do not only write them. Listen to how the speaker says them. Repeat each phrase with natural rhythm. On day 9, practice phrase families. Take one pattern and create variations. For example, I'm not sure if he's coming. I'm not sure if this is correct. I'm not sure if we have enough time. Listen to or record the phrases as complete units. Your goal is instant recognition. On day 10, practice prediction. Before listening, read the title and write 10 possible words. Then listen and check. Pause before selected sentences finish and predict the next type of information. Will it be a reason, example, result, contrast, or opinion? On day 11, practice signal words. Listen for but, so, because, however, actually, first, then, finally. For example, in other words, write the ideas that appear after these signals. This teaches you to follow structure. On day 12, practice conversational intention. Listen to a dialogue. Decide when the speakers are agreeing, disagreeing, hesitating, correcting, requesting, refusing, or changing the topic. Notice the phrases and tone used for each intention. On day 13, shadow 10 to 20 seconds of speech. First listen, then read, then echo, then shadow with the transcript, then shadow without it. Repeat the same section several times. On day 14, review all phrases from the week. Use each phrase in your own sentence. Then listen to the original conversation again. Notice whether the chunks appear as complete units in your mind. At the end of week 2, you should begin feeling that common phrases are easier than individual words. This is important. Fluent listening depends heavily on phrase recognition. Days 15 to 21. Increase speed and stamina. During the third week, extend listening time and reduce dependence on transcripts. Choose content that is interesting and moderately challenging. On day 15, listen to 3 minutes without pausing. Write a 1-sentence summary. Then listen again and add 5 details. Do not check the transcript until after the second listen. On day 16, listen to 5 minutes. Use simple notes. Focus on the structure, topic, main point, reasons, examples, conclusion. After listening, retell the message. On day 17, practice recovery. Listen to natural speech without pausing. When you miss a sentence, do not restart. Continue. Try to re-enter the message using context. Afterward, note where you lost attention and how you recovered. This skill is essential for real conversation. On day 18, use speed layering. Choose a familiar 1-minute clip. Listen slightly slower if needed. Then listen at normal speed. Then listen slightly faster. Return to normal speed. Notice whether normal speed feels easier. On day 19, practice memory. Listen to one sentence and repeat it. Then use longer sentences. Divide them into chunks if necessary. Try to hold the complete meaning, not only the final words. On day 20, listen extensively for 15 to 20 minutes. Choose easier content. Do not pause frequently. Follow the story or discussion. Accept partial understanding. The goal is stamina and flow. On day 21, combine intensive and extensive listening. Study 1 difficult minute deeply. Then listen to 15 easier minutes for enjoyment. This balanced session trains both accuracy and endurance. At the end of week 3, ask, can I listen longer without becoming tired? Can I continue after missing words? Can I summarize longer sections? Does normal speed feel less frightening? Do I use transcripts less often? Your progress may appear as calmness rather than perfect understanding. Calmness is powerful. A calm listener processes more. Days 22 to 30 build real-world flexibility. During the final stage, expose yourself to different voices and conditions. On day 22, listen to a new speaker with a familiar accent. Focus on adaptation. How long does it take before the voice feels comfortable? On day 23, listen to a different accent on a familiar topic. Use a transcript after the first listen. Write 3 pronunciation differences you notice. Do not judge them. Learn them. On day 24, listen to a 2-person conversation. Track who says what. Notice agreement, disagreement, questions, and topic changes. On day 25, listen to a 3-person discussion. Do not try to catch every sentence. Identify each speaker's main position. On day 26, practice phone quality audio or voice messages. Listen for names, numbers, dates, locations, and next actions. Repeat important information aloud as confirmation. On day 27, add mild background noise to a familiar clip. Notice how context helps you recover missing sound. On day 28, choose a topic you know little about. Before listening, learn 5 key words. Then listen for the general explanation. This trains you to enter unfamiliar subjects. On day 29, have a real or simulated conversation. Prepare a topic and several questions. During the conversation, focus on listening rather than planning perfect answers. Use clarification phrases when needed. Could you repeat the last part? Do you mean, so you're saying that? Could you give me an example? Afterward, reflect on what worked. On day 30, complete a final listening challenge. Choose a 5 to 10 minute natural conversation that would have felt difficult 1 month earlier. Listen once without subtitles. Write the main idea and important details. Listen again. Check the transcript if available. Compare your current understanding with your old expectations. Do not demand perfection. Look for evidence of growth. Perhaps you recognize reductions more quickly. Perhaps connected speech feels less mysterious. Perhaps you follow longer ideas. Perhaps you recover after missing words. Perhaps you understand new speakers with less fear. Perhaps you no longer translate everything. These changes are the foundation of fluent listening. After 30 days, do not stop. Create a sustainable weekly routine. You may use this pattern. 2 days of intensive listening, 2 days of shadowing and pronunciation, 2 days of extensive listening, 1 day of review or relaxed English. Choose new material, but continue reviewing old clips. Old audio is not useless. It shows progress. When a clip that once felt impossible becomes easy, your brain receives powerful proof that training works. Keep a listening journal. After each session, write date, audio topic, length, main idea, useful phrases, difficult sounds, 1 success, 1 goal for next time. This journal turns vague effort into visible development. You may discover patterns. Perhaps numbers are difficult. Perhaps you struggle with weak auxiliary verbs. Perhaps one accent requires more exposure. Perhaps long sentences overload memory. Once the problem is specific, the solution becomes specific. Do not say, my listening is bad. Say, I need more practice with connected speech. I need more exposure to this accent. I lose focus after 10 minutes. I need to recognize common reductions. Specific problems can be trained. General self-criticism cannot. Choose quality material. The best material has clear audio, natural speech, useful language, and a transcript or subtitles for checking. Do not keep subtitles on during every first listen. Use them strategically. First listen with your ears, then use text to solve confusion. Then remove the text and listen again. Subtitles should be a bridge, not a permanent wall between you and the sound. Avoid reading faster than you listen. When subtitles are always visible, your eyes may do all the work. You feel that you understand the speaker, but you are actually understanding the text. Test yourself without support. Another long-term habit is repeated listening. Return to the same audio after 1 day, 1 week, and 1 month. Each return strengthens memory. Spaced repetition is not only for vocabulary cards, it also works for sound. A phrase heard several times across different days becomes easier to recognize in new situations. Build a personal audio library. Save short clips that contain useful language. Organize them by theme. Everyday conversation, work, travel, pronunciation, reductions, different accents, phone English, storytelling. Review them regularly. This personal collection becomes more valuable than random endless content because every clip has a learning purpose. You should also speak regularly. Listening and speaking are partners. Use the phrases you hear. Repeat them. Record them. Use them in conversations. When language becomes active in your mouth, it becomes familiar to your ears. Do not wait until your listening is perfect before speaking. Speaking reveals which phrases you truly control. Another long-term goal is reducing translation. When you hear a familiar phrase, connect it directly to a situation or meaning. When you hear "I'm running late," imagine someone who will not arrive on time. Do not stop to translate each word. When you hear "it slipped my mind," connect it to forgetting. When you hear "I'll keep you posted," connect it to receiving future updates. Meaning should become immediate. You can train this by explaining English in simple English. Instead of translating exhausted, say very tired. Instead of translating postpone, say move to a later time. Instead of translating figure out, say understand or find a solution. English to English connections increase listening speed. Your brain no longer travels through another language before reaching meaning. Be patient with plateaus. Some weeks you may feel strong progress. Other weeks you may feel unchanged. Listening development is not always visible day by day. Your brain may be collecting patterns silently. Then one day, a conversation suddenly feels clearer. Do not quit during the quiet stage. Consistency is working even when excitement is absent. Protect your confidence. Do not compare your beginning with someone else's advanced level. Do not compare classroom listening with a fast comedy show full of slang and cultural references. Compare yourself with your past self. Can you understand more than last month? Can you remain calmer? Can you recognize phrases faster? Can you handle more variety? That is the comparison that matters. Fast English becomes understandable through hundreds of small moments. One reduced phrase recognized, one connection heard, one accent understood, one missed sentence recovered, one conversation completed, one day of practice followed by another. There is no single magical audio that will make you fluent. There is a method. Listen with purpose. Study short sections. Notice real pronunciation. Learn phrases. Shadow carefully. Build stamina. Use context. Accept uncertainty. Add variety. Repeat consistently. Your ears will adapt because the human brain is designed to learn patterns. The sound that feels too fast today can become normal tomorrow. The phrase that disappears today can become obvious next month. The speaker who sounds impossible now can become familiar through exposure. Do not wait for confidence before you practice. Practice until confidence becomes the natural result. Fast English is not an enemy, and native speakers are not hiding their words from you. Their speech follows patterns, reductions, connections, rhythm, stress, and familiar chunks. Once your ears learn these patterns, the language begins to slow down inside your mind. Do not try to understand everything in one day. Listen daily, repeat short sections, follow the meaning instead of chasing every word. Allow yourself to miss something and keep going. Every focused minute is teaching your brain to recognize real English more quickly. Stay patient, stay consistent, and trust the process. One day you will hear a fast conversation and realize something has changed. The speaker is still talking naturally, but now your ears are finally ready.